हेलो, गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन। एंड सबसे पहले तो आप सबका इस वे, वेबिनार में बहुत बहुत हार्दिक स्वागत है और तहे दिल से स्वागत है। और खास करके देवरिया जाना और कौस्तुभ पॉल का उनका भी बहुत ज़्यादा बहुत स्वागत है। और उनको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि उन्होंने अपना बेशकीमती समय निकाला आप सबको थोड़ा बहुत गाइड करने के लिए। ये थोड़ा बहुत नहीं होगा, बहुत ज्यादा होगा। इस वेबिनार का बहुत माने बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट रोल होगा, या यह सेशन आपके लिए बहुत ज्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट होगा, क्योंकि बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स होते हैं जो एब्रॉड से मास्टर्स करना चाहते हैं या फिर पीएचडी भी करना चाहते हैं, लेकिन उनको रूट नहीं पता है। इंटरनेट पर जाते हैं तो उतना सटीक इंफॉर्मेशन नहीं मिल पाता है, और जो इंफॉर्मेशन भी होता है तो उस पर ट्रस्ट नहीं हो पाता है, या वो चीजें इनकम्प्लीट होती है, एक साथ वो चीजें नहीं मिल पाती है। तो इसी पर्पज से हमने यह सेशन रखा है कि आप सबको एक प्रॉपर गाइडेंस मिले। जिन्होंने यानी जो देवरिया जाना या कौस्तुभ पॉल है, अभी ये लोग एब्रॉड से अपना पीएचडी कर रहे हैं, और इनका मास्टर्स जो हुआ है वो इंडिया से हुआ है। अब दो देश हो गया, एक तो इंडिया हो गया, अभी ये लोग प्रेजेंट टाइम में यूएसए में है और वहां से अपना पीएचडी कर रहे हैं। और यदि मैं देवरिया जाना की बात करूं तो इनका मेरे साथ जर्नी 2021 से स्टार्ट हुआ था। 2021-22 बैच में ये हमारे पास जैम और आईएसआई के प्रिपरेशन के लिए आए थे, और इसके बाद उन्होंने आईआईटी कानपुर से मास्टर्स कंप्लीट किया। और उसी दौरान यहाँ के कुछ स्टूडेंट्स को उन्होंने गाइड भी किया, कुछ नहीं बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स को उन्होंने गाइड किया। और वो उस समय आए थे हमारे पास जब मेरे पास कुछ नहीं था। उस समय मैं गूगल फॉर्म पर टेस्ट लिया करता था। यहाँ पर दो स्टूडेंट्स है, एक कौस्तुभ पॉल है और एक देवरिया जाना है, दोनों अलग अलग फेज में आए हैं। उस समय एकदम एक तो कोई गाइड करने वाला नहीं था जैम को लेकर के, कोई क्वेश्चंस अरेंज करने वाला नहीं था। तो वो काम मैंने किया, सुप्रीमम क्लासेज ने किया, सुप्रीमम क्लासेज की टीम ने किया, और हमने जीतोड़ मेहनत की है। वो दौर याद होगा देवरिया जाना को शायद अच्छे से, वो यही दिन था कि हम लोग रात दिन रात लगे रहते थे और गूगल फॉर्म पर 200 300 क्वेश्चन का टेस्ट होता था एक साथ। वो जो आप लोगों को अभी जो प्रेजेंट टाइम में बच्चे टेस्ट दे रहे हैं वो उसी टाइम का टेस्ट है। वो अभी तक मैं गूगल फॉर्म का टेस्ट रखा हूँ और वो अभी तक बच्चों को काफी हेल्प कर रहा है। हालांकि अब चीजें सॉफ्टवेयर पर शिफ्ट हो गई है। तो मैं चाहता हूँ कि देवरिया जाना और कौस्तुभ पॉल के लिए आप लोग थोड़ा वेलकम कीजिए। अपना हम दिखला करके चीजें ऑनलाइन है तो उसी टाइप से चीजें हो सकती है। चलिए, आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आप सबने इस सब में कोऑपरेट किया। और एक कौस्तुभ पॉल का भी मैं थोड़ा बहुत जर्नी बदला दूं कि यह मेरे पास उस समय आए 2022-23 का सेशन था, देवरिया जाना के जस्ट एक साल बाद। तो हमने चीजों को अपडेट किया था उस समय, गूगल फॉर्म से टेस्ट को लेकर के ना हम सॉफ्टवेयर पर टेस्ट लेना स्टार्ट किया। बहुत चैलेंजिंग था। हमने जो सॉफ्टवेयर स्टार्ट किया वो एक सब जब बच्चे टेस्ट देने आते तो पूरा का पूरा वो बैठ जाता, सर्वर डाउन हो जाता, ठीक है, किसी का टेस्ट ही ओपन नहीं होता। एक महीना हम लोग परेशान रहे इसी में। और बहुत टेस्ट 2 बजे का टाइम होता तो 3 या कभी 4 बजे टेस्ट स्टार्ट होता। हम लोग रात रात भर जगते थे, मैं भास्कर जी टेस्ट के लिए रात रात भर जगते थे। वो मेरा 2022-23 वाला जो दौर था ना, करीब में दिन में ना इस मंथ में खास करके जनवरी और दिसंबर और जनवरी में मैं मुश्किल से 4 से 5 घंटा हम दोनों सोते थे। कभी कभी इरिटेशन भी होता था, कभी वो मेरे पर भास्कर जी गुस्सा हो जाते, कभी मैं उन पर हो जाता, क्योंकि वो इरिटेशन सा होने लगता है। लेकिन फाइनली सब कुछ सेट हुआ और बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स यूएसए से पीएचडी के लिए अब अप्लाई कर रहे हैं। जैसे में इनमें से एक देवरिया जाना है, कौस्तुभ पॉल है, अदेवेप सीता है जो किसी रीजन से वो अटेंड नहीं कर पाई। वो थोड़ा हेल्थ को लेकर के भी उसका इश्यू है, और वो उनका थोड़ा ट्रेवलिंग भी है, दोनों चीजें एक साथ है। लेकिन एक बार मैं उनसे भी आप लोगों को रूबरू कराऊंगा, वो भी आपको बहुत अच्छे से गाइड करेगी जैसे ये आपको करेंगे। तो बहुत सारे आपके क्वेश्चन है और इनकी जो जर्नी है वो आपको काफी हेल्प करेगा। और जो स्टैटिस्टिक्स के फील्ड में ये लोग काम कर रहे हैं, डेटा साइंस, मशीन लर्निंग, इन्फ्रेंस के फील्ड में ये जो लोग काम कर रहे हैं, उसका क्या फ्यूचर स्कोप है, इंडिया के यूनिवर्सिटीज में और फॉरेन के यूनिवर्सिटीज में कितना का डिफरेंस है, उनका स्टैट्स इंडिया से कितना आगे है। क्योंकि वो लोग फ्यूचर को काफी करीब से देख पाएंगे, क्योंकि वो हमसे, वो अभी जहां पर है वो जगह हमसे 100 साल, 50-100 साल आगे है हर एक फील्ड में। तो वो हमें अच्छे से गाइड कर पाएंगे कि इसका क्या फ्यूचर स्कोप है। इससे आपके अंदर एक पॉजिटिव एनर्जी आएगा और आप थोड़ा और डबल मेहनत करने लगोगे। और जिसको एब्रॉड से पीएचडी करने जाना है उसको कैसे अप्लाई करना है, क्या चैलेंजेज आते हैं, बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस है। हमने आप सबका क्वेश्चंस भी लिया है। तो मैं चाहूंगा कि सबसे पहले देवरिया जाना अपने आप को इंट्रोड्यूस करे थोड़ा बहुत, और जो उनका ड्रीम रहा यूएसए जाने का, वहां से पीएचडी करने का, या फॉरेन से पीएचडी करने का, या और भी बेहतर जगह से वो चाहते थे, या वहीं उनका ड्रीम था कि मेरा वहां से पीएचडी हो। तो मैं चाहता हूँ कि वो अपने आप को इंट्रोड्यूस करे और उन्होंने इस चीज के लिए कैसे सोचा और उनकी क्या प्रिपरेशन जर्नी रही और वहां तक वो कैसे पहुंचे। तो देवरिया जाना, आपका स्वागत है। तो मैं चाहता हूं कि आप थोड़ा अपने आप को ब्रीफली इंट्रोड्यूस कर दो।
Thank you, Shoshi sir. So to introduce me, and I'm thankful that you invited me for this webinar. So so if you want to apply in next year, maybe for fall 2027, so then I think you need to prepare for from this year actually. So for my case, I joined IIT Kanpur in 2022, and then I actually applied for the PhD in the fall 2023 to be admitted at fall 2024. So the preparation was not very difficult like JAM and ISI. So I mean the MSTAT examination or like JAM or that kind of entrance exam. So the main thing what I want to say, you have to prepare all the documents before you will apply. So the first thing I think that will be the English requirement test. That is the TOEFL, IELTS, Duolingo. These three exams are mainly there to apply US and European universities. I know a little bit about the European universities, but I have some friends in my connection. Those they can help you if you want to know that to apply in the European universities. But I know about more in the to apply in the US universities. So generally, the application procedure starts from the September, and the deadlines are mostly in the December or in the January. So there are several, the deadlines in the December. It start from December 1, I think some November 31, November 30, and December 5, December 15. In this way, the deadlines are there for US universities. So if I assume that you are in a first year of your masters, maybe in the second semester, then you can just first go to the US News website, and there you can find the university list. So there is some US rank of the university, US universities where the statistics are there, and you can do the PhD there. So and you have to sort out some universities that where you need to apply there. So because you cannot apply all of the US universities, because in each universities, if you want to apply, there are some fees from starting from $60 to $150. For the California sites, the fees are little bit higher. It's I think $100 to $150, but others are I think around $80. So you have to first think about that where you need to apply. So for that I will suggest, so I do not know that where in which university you are doing your masters. Suppose I was doing my masters in IIT Kanpur. So we have some seniors in some US universities. So what I did basically, I was actually observing those universities where our seniors actually applied and got the acceptance letter. So you can actually see that thing, that where your seniors are. So you can just connect them by LinkedIn and other platform, and you can actually know from them that what the situation, funding situation in the US. Because to get a PhD in US is not very difficult, but little bit tricky. So suppose you want to apply in a university by just seeing their website, and you just love the research areas and you just apply there. So your money will be exhausted there, because if there is no funding available and at that university or that department, so you will surely get a rejection. But that is actually not, not written or not telling, not in the website. So the thing is that it is not like that they will not take a student. The thing is that they will take more competitive student. So the competition is actually higher there if there is a less amount of fund available. So you should think about to apply those universities where the funding situations are good and your seniors are actually getting some acceptance on in that universities. For ISI, there is a, so some of my friends are in the ISI, so Kostov can tell this thing much better. But the for ISI, there are actually some kind of spreadsheet which I know. So they actually maintain that things much better. But for IIT Kanpur, just four people. So our time we just four people applied. But for ISI, it's much more competition. 30 people, 20 people applied. So basically, you need to know about that thing, and there are obviously some hierarchical order to get to get PhD in some universities. So the main thing is that if there is some class of the students from the same universities in terms of the recommendation and other thing, then the chance of getting admission is basically lower. So that is the main thing you need to think about. So suppose in your university, if the two or three people are applying, so you need to be crystal clear within yourself that you are applying to some universities where your friend are not applying. So it might not be always possible, but if you make this thing clear, or you can do this thing as much as possible, then to get acceptance is much more higher. Okay. So now the main thing is that what you need to do, you need to give the TOEFL, and I will suggest to take the TOEFL in the summer. So like from May to August in this time. So I was actually taken that thing in fall 2023 in the time of August. Then I was preparing for to apply the US university. So first, what you need to do, you have to just make a pool of university option. So where you want to apply. So you can just now from January to May. So you can just think about that where your seniors are, and where they are doing the PhD. What is the funding conditions there? So the professors who are working there, what is their research interest? Whether that is actually matching with your interest or not. So that is the main thing you first need to see. Then you just sort out some universities where you think if you apply you will get the acceptance. Now you can just think this total procedure in some sense that some will be your uh, very high hope options. Maybe that is something like the US universities ranking like from within 10 or 10 to 20, and then you can think about some universities from 20 to 30 rank, then 30 to 40 rank, 40 to 50 rank. In that way you can think about that. So because when you want to apply any US university, so you can apply like 10 to 12 universities. Maybe some people they can apply for 20 universities. So but you need to make sure that you don't have to be much ambitious for that. So you need to be ambitious, but you should have select some some easy universities where you think you can get a admission. So I will come later that how you can think that you will understand that university will be easier to get an admission. But so before that you need to give the TOEFL. Now the main thing is that how much score is required in the TOEFL. So it's actually varies from university to university, but generally, if you get more than 100 TOEFL score, then generally all the US universities you can apply. But I have seen many more universities where just 80 is required, and TOEFL is just required to get a teaching assistant position in the US. So if you just cut off the clear, sorry, you clear the cutoff, then you can get the admission there. Not admission, I mean, you can just apply there. So it is just the eligibility condition. And but so it is not like that if you get 100 marks and your other things in the profile is not good, then it might not be that you will get admission. So the other things is basically the statement of purpose, your CV, your transcript, your letter of recommendation. And the most important thing is here is the letter of recommendation. So if you are in like ISI, IIT, Calcutta University, in any other universities, so try to figure out those professors so by whom you have a good rapport. So basically, that I am very, very clear with these things. So, and you have a good marks in their subject, in their paper, and you have done some project with them. So basically, you have a good communication with that professor, and you think that that professor think about a good thing about you. So you can just contact with them around September, October, that you are thinking to apply US universities for PhD, and whether they will give you a recommendation letter or not. And so if you are in a first year, then I will suggest to apply for summer internship to other universities, uh, so that you can get a exposure to other professors in the other universities. So for my case, I was actually done another project in another university's professor and get a recommendation letter from him. And also I had taken 3 recommendation letter from my IIT Kanpur. So I actually took 4 letter of recommendation and apply, like doing some permutation combination with them in several places. So you can basically understand that you have to just understand that for which professor, that which university has the good rapport, because sometimes you can see where they had done their PhD, postdoc. So you can see those things and you can make the connection on that way, that where you need to apply. So if you get 3 recommendation later, then you can just think about that where you need to apply, and you can just ask them also that where you need to apply. So that's the thing. So the TOEFL is the first thing. The second thing is the letter of recommendation. So you have to connect with the professors around September, October, so that they get an ample amount of time to write your recommendation letter, because that is confidential. They will send it confidentially. So they must need some time. And don't go for a random professor who has a very good profile but don't have any connection with you. You don't have taken any courses, you don't have done any project with him, but he or she has very good profile. Because sometimes if they actually agree, because some sort of issue, but they might give you a bad recommendation. That I know from some of my friends. But yeah, so yeah, so just go to the people you know. And this is the second thing. Third thing is the statement of purpose. So don't go to ChatGPT and write the statement of purpose by the ChatGPT or Gemini, because for our time we had to write that thing by ourselves. So it's basically why you are why you want to do the PhD. That is the thing for the SOP. Generally, so I have some example SOPs, like I have some SOP which I have written for my application. I can share that thing to Sosi sir, so he can actually share this thing to you. But the main thing for the SOP is you first have to write about yourself, that where you have done your bachelor's, masters, why you have interested to the statistics. Then you need to write that why you are applying to the particular university. So you can mention some name of the professor by with whom you want to research. So, and you can just mention some research interest there. So that is the main thing, and that is the SOP. And then CV. So there is two type of CV. So in IIT Kanpur we have some kind of industry CV, some kind of that academic CV. So academic CVs are basically longer than the your industry CV. So it's kind of another thing. So I can also share that thing. So it's kind of a thing that you have to just see and recheck that whether you have write all the things or not. Another thing is that if you have not done any project with some professor, try to do that project, because the US universities basically don't just see your numbers, I mean marks or CGPA. They also see your research. So maybe it is not a very great research, but they will just see that whether you have done some project or no. So we in IIT Kanpur we have some research project type of thing, which is called something like master's thesis or some kind of thing in other universities. So if you done those kind of thing, that will be helpful. Another unofficial research project with some another professor in other universities, that is also helpful. So mention those projects in your CV in a very good way, also in your SOP. So that is the thing. So that the CV part. Another thing is the transcript. So you just have to collect all your transcript from your bachelor's also, if you have not collected that thing, because some of the universities actually do late to give the transcript to the students, and I know about CU, the Calcutta University, among of them. And and another thing is basically, um, to apply, you need some money. So people basically do not talk about this thing much. So I am just telling. So if you want to apply in the US, think about that. You need 2 to 3 lakh at least to apply, because for application purpose, for TOEFL, for GRE. So some universities need GRE, some universities doesn't need GRE. So if you just go to their website, you can see that thing, that whether GRE is required or not. So to give the TOEFL and GRE, you need money, and to apply some universities, you need some money. It is not very higher amount, but 2 to 3 lakh at least needed, because and your the flight fare for the US, all the things are covered in 2 to 4 lakhs actually. And that's the thing. And I think it's all maybe. So, and you have some application package. So if you go their website and create a profile there, you just have to fill up a application form, and there you need to submit the documents that I just talked about, that SOP, CV, transcript, and the letter of recommendation will be submitted by the professors, that you don't have to have to bother about. That's all. And you can just apply within the deadline. So it is all the thing and nothing else. Then you just have to wait. You just have to wait for long time to get some acceptance and rejection, obviously. So for me, the rejection was much larger amount of things than the acceptance. I got just 3 acceptance: then Michigan State, Iowa State, and the University of California, Davis. So these three I got acceptance, and other 8 from 8 universities I got the rejection. I got disheartened, but yeah, that's okay. So that was my journey. And so main thing, you need to think about the TOEFL, and after the TOEFL you can just connect to the professor and collect the letter of recommendation, and then you just make your SOP, and you can contact your seniors also to check the SOP, and you can contact me also, Kostab also, if Kostab is allowed to check the SOPs or something kind of that. So I am available for that, to check your SOP. Yeah, that's it. Thank you.
ओके, हाँ ओके, थैंक यू सो मच। और मैं चाहता हूँ कि एक बार आप सब थम्स अप कर दो यार, चीजें ऑनलाइन ही है, और यही एक मोटिवेशन का, एक एनर्जी वाली चीजों का एक वे है। और शायद ऑनलाइन है तो हमारे पास एक इंफॉर्मेशन भी मिल पा रहा है। यदि चीजें ऑनलाइन नहीं होती तो शायद हम देवरिया जाना से ऐसे रूबरू नहीं हो पाते, और चीजें इंटरनेट से ही हम गैदर करते, और जो कि इनकम्प्लीट होता। तो हमारे लाइफ में स्टैटिस्टिक्स का ना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रोल है, प्रेजेंट टाइम में भी और फ्यूचर में भी। अभी एक होता ही नहीं कि दुनिया फिजिक्स से चल रही है, ब्रह्मांड फिजिक्स से चल रहा है, लेकिन जो अभी की दुनिया है, फिजिक्स तो है, फिजिक्स वो जो भौतिक वाली चीजें वो तो है, और यदि हम डेटा की बात करें तो दुनिया भी डेटा यानी स्टैटिस्टिक्स से चल रही है। और आने वाले टाइम में इसका बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट होगा, जो कि दिख भी रहा है। तो मैं आता हूँ कौस्तुभ की तरफ, थोड़ा बहुत इसके बारे में आपको बतला दूं कि कौस्तुभ वही, जैसे कि आपको मैं बतलाया कि 2022-23 सेशन था, और कौस्तुभ मीन्स उस समय वही टेस्ट वाली बड़ी चीजें थी। तो उस समय के स्टूडेंट जो बड़ी पेशेंस वाले थे, इस बात से मुझे काफी खुशी मिलती थी कि टेस्ट में डिले हो जाता था तो मीन्स एक नहीं होता है, एक चिड़चिड़ापन होता था, लेकिन वो बच्चे जाहिर नहीं करते थे, क्योंकि उनको लगता था कि नहीं सर बड़ी मेहनत कर रहे हैं, दिन रात क्वेश्चंस क्रिएट करना, क्योंकि इनको अच्छे से पता है। अब ये पीएचडी के रोल में है, तो इनको अब अच्छे से पता है कि नहीं क्वेश्चन सेट करना सर के लिए कितना चैलेंजिंग रहा होगा, वो कितना इसके लिए मेहनत करते होंगे, तब जाकर के एक क्वेश्चंस का फॉर्मेशन हो पाता था और उनको उस लेवल का टेस्ट प्रोवाइड करना। उसमें गलतियां भी होती थी, गलतियों को सुधारा जाता था, ये लोग बोलते थे, उसको करेक्शन होता था। सॉफ्टवेयर कई बार वो डाउन हो जाता था, फिर हमने दिसंबर में या मिड दिसंबर में मुझे लग रहा है कि हमने दूसरा सॉफ्टवेयर लिया जो अभी तक हमारा साथ दे रहा है। तो वहां से वो जर्नी स्टार्ट हुआ और बहुत बेहतर रैंक आया उस समय। और मैंने बहुत सारे बच्चों का ना, जब वो सेंटर पर गए तो जो एग्जाम का टाइम होता है ना वो डिले हो गया, उनका भी सॉफ्टवेयर जो हो गया ना पहले ही डाउन हो गया, ठीक है ना। तो ये लोग आकर के सब बोले कि सर जैसे आपका लेट होता था ना वैसे वहां भी लेट हो गया। तो इससे सर हमारे अंदर ना पेशेंस की ना एक वो था कि नहीं हमें पेशेंस रखना है, क्योंकि इसकी आदत हमें पहले से पड़ गई थी। तो मैं उन लोगों से बोला कि सुप्रीमम में जो होता है ना बेहतर के लिए होता है, ठीक है। और हमारा भी बचपन से ड्रीम रहा करता था कि हम भी कुछ बेहतर करें, हायर लेवल की पढ़ाई करें, हायर लेवल की मैथमेटिक्स पढ़े, हायर लेवल। उस समय तो स्टैटिस्टिक्स का मैं नाम नहीं जानता था, वो तो मैं आईआईटी दिल्ली में जाने के बाद जाना। तो मैं मैथमेटिक्स को लेकर के बहुत ज्यादा वो था कि हायर लेवल का पढ़े, लेकिन कैसे पढ़े कुछ पता नहीं था, उसको पढ़ा कैसे जाए, ऊपर से बिहार में, ठीक है, कुछ भी आता पता कुछ नहीं था। कॉलेज में पहुंचा तो मैंने वही सारी चीजें, तो फिर वहां भी हमको कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन नहीं मिला। तो फिर ऐसे ही रैंडम चीजें पता चला जैम के बारे में, तो मैं आपका आईआईटी दिल्ली पहुंच गया। फिर वहाँ स्टैटिस्टिक्स के बारे में जाना तो आईआईटी बॉम्बे भी पहुंच गया। तो वैसे ही किसी स्टूडेंट्स के मन में होगा कि नहीं मुझे फॉरेन से पीएचडी करना है, लेकिन कैसे करे, हमें फॉरेन से मास्टर्स करना, लेकिन कैसे करे हमें पता ही नहीं है। तो इस बात से मुझे बेहद खुशी मिलती है कि ये लोग वहां पर गए और ऐसा लगता है कि ये हमारे सपने को पूरा कर रहे हैं, ठीक है। अपने तो सपने को पूरा कर ही रहे, अपने पेरेंट्स के तो सपने को पूरा कर ही रहे, ये हमारे भी साथ में सपने को पूरा कर रहे हैं। और मुझे काफी प्राउड फील होता है, बहुत ज्यादा प्राउड फील होता है। कॉस्टोपोल का मैं आपको बतला दूं, इसका बहुत अच्छा प्लेसमेंट भी हुआ था, बहुत अच्छा प्लेसमेंट हुआ था। उन्होंने उस प्लेसमेंट को ठुकरा करके रिसर्च में अपना रोल प्ले करने का सोचा कि नहीं मैं रिसर्च करूंगा। और मैं आपको बतला दूं, आप आंखों से भी देख रहे हैं कि जो रिसर्च करते हैं ना उनका पर्सनल उतना कुछ फायदा नहीं मिलता है, लेकिन समाज को ना, सोसाइटी को, देश को बहुत कुछ मिलता है। एक एक रिसर्चर, एक बेहतर रिसर्चर बनाने में ना बहुत लंबा, बहुत टाइम लगता है। एक बेहतर एक प्रोफेसर बनाने में बहुत टाइम लगता है। इसलिए गवर्नमेंट नहीं चाहती है ना कि प्रोफेसर जल्दी रिटायर करे। प्रोफेसर कभी रिटायर नहीं होते हैं, जज प्रोफेसर ये कभी रिटायर नहीं होते, प्रोफेसर तो खास करके प्रोफेसर हमेशा बने रहते हैं। तो मैं चाहता हूं कॉन्स्टेबल आप अपने आप को इंट्रोड्यूस करो और थोड़ा अपने जर्नी के बारे में बतलाओ कि आपने अब्रॉड से पीएचडी करने के बारे में कैसे सोचा और उस जर्नी को आपने कैसे फुलफिल किया।
Hi all, and thank you, Shashi sir, for this invitation. I am from ISI. I did my master's from ISI, and now I am in Washington University in St. Louis. Devargoda told a lot about all these things. He told a lot about the application process and all in this country, but I think I will focus more on the European sides, because I applied and got some offers from some European universities. But I would also like to add some more points towards application in this in America. The thing is, as you told, for the recommendations, prefer those professors who are not recommending to a lot of students, because these during these applications, while the selection committee goes through the applications, particularly the recommendations, they look for some special words that the recommender has written about that particular applicant. If a professor recommends to a lot of students, it may occur that there's something common about the recommendation, about the letters. That is not a good thing to have in an application. Secondly, about the GRE and TOEFL thing, I have seen in many of my friends, they had the TOEFL marks or GRE marks less than that cutoff mentioned in the website, but that doesn't matter well if you have a good profile. So the thing is, you have to sit for the exam. You have to show them that you have like taken that exam, but many a times they waive that particular cutoff thing if you have a good profile. Okay, and about Europe, the application process is a bit different. Like the application process in Europe is quite varying from one place to another. For example, I applied to EPFL. It's an university in Switzerland. There, the application process is much more similar to that of an US university. But the thing is, when you are applying to some European university, you need to have a good plan, a clear-cut plan about how your research will be in the next 4 years or 5 years. However, when we apply in this country, in USA, that thing doesn't matter. Yeah, we have to have some research interests, but it's more to an open end. So it is more like we are interested in these topics. We will explore more into them in the next few years, and then, or I will take some time to decide upon what I will work on. So you do not need to have a particular research problem in mind while applying. But in the European countries, the thing is, you have to have a nice plan of how will you design your research career. As I told, in EPFL, the application is much more similar to that of an US university, but we had to mention which professor we need as our supervisor during my PhD. So this kind of thing is also there in an US application. But the thing is, you have to mention like that I have seen profiles of these professors, and I think their work aligns with my interests, so they can be my potential supervisor. But in Europe, you have to mention then and there that I will work with this particular professor, because the funding comes from the professor's funding directly. The university do not contribute to any of that funding that you will get. Otherwise, in EPFL, the application is much more same. And the thing is, after I applied, the person that I mentioned as my supervisor, he took a long interview. It was not a short or not a casual interview, but it was a wholehearted interview for about 1.5 hours or something like that. Now, I knew this person beforehand because my master's thesis, sorry. Yeah, so my master's thesis was quite associated with one of his research works. So I knew him beforehand, yet he took a 1.5 hour interview of me. And after a week or two, I got an offer. Now, in European universities, usually they do not have any application fee. But the thing is, the funding situation is not that good in Europe. In Switzerland, it is good. There are two universities in Switzerland. One is ETH Zurich, and one is EPFL, the one I mentioned. Both these universities are top-notch universities in the whole world, and also getting into them are a bit more competitive. Now, outside Switzerland, there are other options like Netherlands, Germany, and England. I got one offer from University of Groningen in Netherlands, and another offer from University of Glasgow in Scotland. Now the Scotland falls under the English system, but the thing is, there, like in USA, the picture of funding is quite clear and good. So you get an offer, there is a funding statement all along with that. So you are guaranteed funding for about 5 years. Mostly it is 5 years. Now, and that amount is guaranteed to you. So you know that you will get that funding for 5 years when you will be doing your PhD. But in Europe, the offer doesn't come with a guaranteed funding letter. So there are some funding options, like there are some organizations which provide funding for research. But the thing is, it's very competitive. Like in England, getting a funding is too tough. So as I told, I got an offer from the University of Glasgow. The thing was, I had to sit for an exam, some interviews for that funding thing, and it was they will give that funding for 5% of the total number of applicants. Also, the amount of money that they will provide is also not good, because usually in USA, our tuition fees are waived, but in Europe you have to pay that fee. The fund they provide, that hardly covers the tuition fee things. There are some other ways of like obtaining scholarships, but those are more designed keeping in mind about the native students. So the students who are from England or from Germany or Netherlands. As an immigrant or as a foreign student, it's difficult to get those scholarships. Also, the type of research that is going on mostly in England is a bit different than in USA, because in Europe the researchers are more interdisciplinary. So you will be working with one statistician, one ecologist, I think one medical worker, person who is doing research in a medical field. So the thing is, it's not fully in statistics, but it's more like in England, the research is more concentrated towards environmental systems. Like you will have one environmentalist while working with you. But in USA, the thing is quite different. So your supervisor will be a statistician. Here also there are some interdisciplinary studies, but it's more keeping in mind that you are a statistician, you know statistics well, and your work will involve statistics more than all other disciplines. Apart from this, no, I think that's all from my part as of now.
हाँ, थैंक यू कौस्तुभ। और आप लोग एक बार थम्स अप कर दो यार। हाँ, तो आप लोगों का क्वेश्चंस भी होगा काफी सारा, तो मैं 1 मिनट का टाइम लेता हूँ। जानते हो, जब मैं जेई एडवांस दिया था तो मेरा मैंने कहूँ कि मेरा हुआ नहीं, ठीक है ना। ऐसा नहीं था कि मैं नहीं कर सकता था, बट बहुत सारा गलत कर दिया मैं, ठीक है ना। बहुत ज्यादा मैं गलत कर दिया। -1 लेस देन 0 होता है ना, तो मैं 0 ग्रेड मींस -1 ग्रेटर देन 0 भी करके आया था एग्जाम में। एक्चुअली प्रेशर था, ड्रॉप ले लिया था, और फैमिली का प्रेशर, सोसाइटी का अलग ही प्रेशर होता है, ठीक है ना। गांव में जो रहते हैं वो इस चीज को अच्छे से समझते हैं। खास करके रिलेटिव का प्रेशर, वो तो और ज्यादा प्रेशर होता है। सोसाइटी से ज्यादा रिलेटिव का प्रेशर होता है, ठीक है ना। मम्मी पापा से ज्यादा चिंता रिलेटिव सबको होती है। तो जब मेरा जेई एडवांस नहीं हुआ तो मैं, हालांकि मुझे हायर मैथमेटिक्स पढ़ना, तो पापा लोगों को लाते ढूंढ ढूंढ करके कि वो मुझे गाइड करे। तो जो भी मुझे गाइड करता मोस्टली एसएससी के बारे में बतलाता है, रेलवे के बारे में बतलाता है, बीपीएससी के बारे में ज्यादा से ज्यादा वो लोग बतलाते कि वो इस सब की प्रिपरेशन होती है, ग्रुप डी है, ग्रुप ए है, ग्रुप बी है, ठीक है ना। तो इस सब की ग्रुप ए के तो बारे में कोई नहीं बतलाता था, गांव में वैसे लोग नहीं मिलते हैं। तो मैं कहता कि नहीं मुझे ये नहीं पढ़ना है, ठीक है, मुझे ये पढ़ना, आप ये बतलाइए। तो वो लोग पापा से कहते थे कि पता नहीं आपका बेटा किस चीज की बात कर रहा है, ठीक है ना, मुझे भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा। वैसे आप लोगों में से कोई पीएचडी करना चाहता हो फॉरेन से, आप पापा से बोलोगे पापा मुझे फॉरेन से पीएचडी करना है, ठीक है, तो पापा अब दूसरे को पकड़ के लाएंगे, क्योंकि पापा तो अपना पूरा वो करेंगे ना, रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी निभाएंगे कि नहीं मेरा बेटा करना चाहता है तो कोई किया है क्या। पापा को ये लगता है कोई किया है, और पापा जाएंगे किसी को ढूंढेंगे, मिलेगा ही नहीं। तो पापा कहेंगे कि तुमको ही करना है, सारा दुनिया कर नहीं रहा है, तुमको ही करना है। तो वो केस मेरे साथ भी था कि सब ये कर रहा है, तुमको ये करना है, जो कोई कर ही नहीं रहा। जब उसमें कैरियर होता तो हर कोई करता, काफी लोग करते या वैसे लोग मिलते। तो मुझे लोग पागल भी कहा, ठीक है। तो फाइनली मुझे इसके बारे में आईआईटी जैम के बारे में पता चला और मैं आईआईटी पहुंच गया। वैसे ही आप लोगों को बहुत सारी चीजों के बारे में पता चला, ठीक है ना, रिकमेंडेशन, टोफेल, जीआरई टोफेल के बारे में पता चला, जो आपका एसओपी है उसके बारे में पता चला, रिकमेंडेशन के बारे में पता चला, प्रोफेसर के अंदर प्रोजेक्ट्स करना है इसके बारे में आपको पता चला, अदर यूनिवर्सिटीज में करना है इसके बारे में आपको। तो एक नहीं होता है, डूबने वालों के लिए तिनका ही सहारा होता है। आप रास्ता बना लोगे, ठीक है ना, रास्ता हर एक चीज का है। तो बहुत सारे बच्चों की क्वेरी है, तो मैं चाहता हूं कि आप लोग हैंड रेज करो और भास्कर जी आपको वो करेंगे और आप नाम वो बोलेंगे और जो भी आपके क्वेश्चंस होंगे उसका आपको जवाब मिलेगा, ठीक है ना। ये लोग कौस्तुभ और देवरिया जाना है, वो बारी बारी से इसका आपको रिप्लाई करेंगे। चलो, थैंक यू।
अर्का प्रभा आप पूछ सकते हो सवाल।
Yeah, thank you. Kostapta, I am doing my data science in CMI right now, and I did my BSc in statistics from Ramakrishna Mission Narendra. So I saw that your PhD currently involves machine learning. So my question is, you did your ISI MStat. So how did you get an interest in this field, and how did you proceed from there on?
Okay. So in today's world in statistics, I think 70% of the researches that are going on, they are in the field of machine learning. Now, this field is a quite vast field. Now, my research, like my master's project, my master's thesis was in functional data analysis, and so I had a I had an interest towards this type of things: regression, function estimation, and non-parametric statistics, and all those things. And my, as I told, my master's project was also kind of in the machine learning, like in the machine learning domain. Now, these, as I told, this domain is quite a vast domain. It includes a lot of topics. So yeah.
Thank you for the answer. And one more thing, you said that you had a master's thesis. Now, I am saying that how is this important and how important it was for getting your recommendations and when to start basically, and how can I do it as well?
Yeah, so my master's project was like a part of my coursework of my master's. So we had it like the final. We had two presentations regarding that project, and we also had to submit a report. Now this was scheduled to happen in the final semester of my master's, but the work started around. So the work was for around 1 year. So I started in at the end of the summer of 2022, and it went on for 1 year. and it was in a good shape when I was like going to apply. Now having one project, at least one project, is, I will not say it's important, but it's mandatory, because I am not telling about like you have to have a uh, publication to some in some journal. That's not totally required, but yeah, that if you have some, it is good. But having a project is important, because when the selection committee, the selection panel will go through your application, they will look for a few things. Like they have to judge whether you are eligible to do a research or not. So there are a few parameters regarding that. One is how much marks you have got. The second thing is what research you have already done in the past. Now that project thing is the only indicator of how you are as a researcher. Also, I took a recommendation from my project supervisor, and he's quite close to me. He's more like a brother to me. So yeah, that was one of my strongest recommendation. The one from my project supervisor. So yeah, so once you do a project, you have a supervisor and what do you say, are recommended to recommend you, and also something that you can show, like I have done this amount of work, I have done this research, and I know how research goes on. Yeah, so having a project is important. And yeah, so start. So if you are applying for like in the fall of 2026, like if you're applying during the fall of 2026, you can start around 7 or 8 months earlier to have a new project. In 7 or 8 months, I think that will come to a good shape. Like you have something to show, like you have done this, you have a clear idea of what you are going to do for this.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Aditya,
Yes, Kaustavda. So basically, I am doing my MStat from ISI Delhi. So I have
Okay.
one question. So I want to do research in more theoretical areas of statistics. So
Mhm.
is Germany good for theoretical statistics, or if not, can you suggest some universities or countries where theoretical stuff is done? Yeah.
In this country, a lot of theoretical stuffs are going on. So my research is more towards the theoretical sides uh, of statistics. So in Germany, no, there's nothing special about Germany in terms of statistical theories. I would say in Netherlands, they work in a lot of robust statistics and regarding heavy tail distribution, the theories of heavy tail distribution in Netherlands. But in America, you have a good scope of doing a lot of theoretical stuffs.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
yes, Yashasvi Awasthi.
Yes, Mr. Sri, you can write it down in the message. जब तक यशस्वी अपना क्वेश्चन लिखती हैं तब तक एसएन कौन है एसएन भाई साहब मैं सवाल पूछ सकते हैं.
Hi there. So my question is that my academic background is quite unconventional. I studied economics, now I'm studying mathematics, and I plan on switching to statistics. And my research goals are aligning towards theoretical statistics and probability. So what are some active research areas there, and what's the scope for somebody with a non-traditional background applying to a PhD?
हाँ, देवर्या जाना, आप कुछ टिप करोगे?
So like if you are not like not from statistics background and then you want to do statistical research, then I think what is my opinion is theoretical statistics will not be a very good option. So you can think about more about computational statistics fields, Bayesian statistics. And another thing, so machine learning is there are several kind of machine learning things. So there are theoretical machine learning, there are applied machine learning also, and maybe reinforcement learning is a field, deep neural network. Those kind of things are very interconnected things. So you can think about those if you want. And you told that you did bachelor's in economics or some kind of that. So econometrics is another kind of option you can explore actually. So I didn't know about much about the econometrics part, but some people do research about in those fields actually. But the theoretical statistics I think will be little bit difficult for you. But yeah, you can anytime learn that thing. But yeah, that's it. The computational statistics will be a better option for you to do the research. And it is actually important to know that what is your future plan after the PhD, after doing the research. So if you want to go for the academia or if you want to go for the industry, there are several paths. So if you want to be in the academia, so theoretical statistics are a little bit more important. But for industry, if you do work in the computational statistics part, so that is called the methods actually in the US. So that will be very helpful for you to go to the industry.
So Yashasvi has asked the question like, does the CPI matter?
So yeah, so I can give this answer. So the thing is that it depends. So our seniors actually told us, so we are in the IT Kanpur. So our seniors told us to keep a CPI. So by more than 8.5 and at least more than 8. But it doesn't apply to the ISI or CU peoples because they have the absolute grading criteria. So I think Kaustubh can tell this thing more better for the ISI perspective. But so it actually depends university to university. So for Presidency University, Calcutta University, and ISI, they do not have the relative marking scheme. So and also not everyone get very higher marks. But for IIT Kanpur, there is relative marking thing. So our senior suggested to at least keep a CPI more than 8.5 or more than 8. And if you got 8.5, more than 8.5, that is actually good actually. And for other universities also, I think so. So some of my friends, they got the PhD from Kolon universities and other like Vishwabharat universities. So actually the CGPA little bit matters for their case. So I will keep a good GPA, at least 8 GPA. That called the CGPA, CPA, whatever. So that is, I say that to keep that thing out of 10. Yeah.
Aman Kumar.
Yes, sir. Sir, my question was, I have done my bachelor's in technology from EC from NIT Raipur, and now I'm planning to switch to statistics. So going forward, sir, like PhD, let's say if I want to pursue, then will that create issue in maybe interviews and all? Like, can I expect questions upon that also, that why sudden change of field?
Sorry, I didn't understand. Can you?
Yeah, can you repeat?
Sir, I've done my BTech from EC, and now I'm planning to switch to statistics. So if I go for PhD in future, then will that impact like in interviews and all? Will they ask that why is this sudden change from BTech to statistics or something?
Okay, so the thing is, yeah, the American universities, they are very open to like open in terms of this which field from you are coming from. But the thing is, when you will be writing your SOP, and all, you have to, I think you have to mention, like, you have to give some good logic why you are changing this stream, why you are coming to statistics from there, and you have to write it in a positive way. That's it. Yeah, you are account to be questioned about why this change in stream, and if so, in not in the interviews, but you will have to do it in your SOP.
Got it. Thank you.
So most of the students asked about the funding, like the scholarship and the funding, how you will get, and like what is the situation of that?
So for US universities, so I think people have seen the news about the funding situation in the US, but it's not actually affected to the statistics people much. So mainly, I don't want to this thing much here, but the thing is that funding situation is now is okay actually. So it's not like very serious condition, but so you have to first think about that where you want to apply. But the generally I want to tell this thing. So in the US, the funding comes from the TA, teaching assistant position, and the research assistant position, and from there is something called from if you want to something called co-op positions. So this kind of things actually happens in the US. So generally, if you want to apply some land grant universities, so land grant universities are those universities which are teaching focused universities. Like so this is Iowa State University is one of the land grant universities. North Carolina State University, that is one of the land grant universities. So those universities have the TA funding, so they have the more TA funding. And but if some universities doesn't have more TA funding, but they have only research assistant funding, then it actually depends on the professor to professor. So if a professor have a grant for some several years, so 5 to 7 years, and they can take students on that fund, then there is no issue. So that is and to know that thing, that is also very difficult. But if you connect to some people, so suppose some grad students on those department, and ask them about what is the funding conditions, so that picture will be much clear to you. But normally those usual universities where most of the peoples have actually got the PhDs recently, they are actually in the good positions. So yeah.
So like in my university, it is a private university, and usually in private universities, the one we are seeing in the news, like the funding cut and all, these are the funding cuts which are coming from the state, like which are coming from the federal state of USA. But usually the private universities, they have most of their funding from the student fees and all these things, and there are some other sources of funding. So the private universities are not that much affected. And also in my university, I am backed up directly by the department, not by the fund of the the advisors fund or things like that. So I think, yeah, some departments there is a problem with these funding cuts and these things, but in most of the departments, at least in statistics, I don't think this thing is much of an issue.
So next, Sudeep, you want to ask the question? Sudeep Das.
Okay. Good morning, Kosabda. Good morning, Devargoda. Good evening. Sorry. Actually, my queries is I am from ISM Dhanbad, IIT ISM Dhanbad, and I am pursuing maths and computing branch here. So, can you share me some information about AIML research that in the abroad? Because as we know, statistics is very much dependent on the AIML research. What is the connection, and can you share me some information about that?
Well, I want to rectify your statement a bit. Statistics is not dependent upon AI/ML research. It is the other way around. AI/ML research is dependent on how statistics is going on. You know, after this thing came into play, the COVID came into play. And the first, so during the COVID, there was some funding cut in this country. After that, most of the researchers, they are focused towards these AI things. But the definition of what an AI research is not totally clear till now. So there are some departments in this country like which are not statistics department but machine learning departments. Like in Carnegie Mellon, there is one machine learning department. But the thing is, yeah, most of the researches which are going on in statistics nowadays, they are somewhat focused towards these AI/ML things.
Got it. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, thank you, Kautsab. So some of the students had asked like how much it cost, like to do the PhD, how much it cost according to the hostel in the academic, how much it take, like the total amount.
It actually depends on where you are living in the US. For my case, I lived in a 2 BHK apartment, so there I have to pay $455 per month. So it's not actually a very high amount. We get around 2,500 per month, and so basically it's $455. And if you go to the grocery and all, so that is around 300. So I will say within 1,000 it's done actually, but it's actually go for AIMS. But in some universities where it is actually situated, so there the living cost is little bit higher, but grocery cost is not like that. And so here there is no concept for the hostel, so you have to take an apartment, rent the apartment, leave it there. So there is single apartment, 2 BHK apartment, 3 BHK apartment, and actually the rents are actually different from places to places. So if you are living in a small town country, sorry, small town like Ames, where we live actually, so there is actually the living cost is little bit lower. For my one of my friend is in the Duke University, so they told the living cost is little bit higher, but not very higher that you cannot afford. So it is very so what the stipend. So it's actually called salary because we give taxes. So it's not like very bad amount. So it's a very ample amount. So you will get. So that's actually good in each of the universities where you will get the full funded PhD with the 100% tuition waiver. So that will be enough for doing the PhD and all the things.
Yeah, usually the stipends are designed in such a way, or the scholarships are designed in such a way that you will have an ample amount of money at the end of the month. But there are some universities like those located in the big cities like Columbia. It is in New York City, and I have heard from my seniors that the stipends that they provide is not that much sufficient to like lead a life in New York City. And the same also goes for UC Berkeley. But in most of the other universities, I haven't heard anything like there is a shortage of finance or anything like that. Yeah.
So one of the students asked, like in the past, sometime there are some like too much news about the racism, like for the Indian student. So do you feel about that, something like that?
I didn't get any.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Okay. So about one student also asked about the H1 visa, like the visa and the things you get, how the process and everything. So is there any difficulty about that?
Okay. May I take this because I have some.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So the H1 visa is more for I think for those who are coming with jobs. Ours is the F1 visa. So the thing is, a visa is more like a ticket to enter into US. But the thing was during our time, when our visa application was going on, there was a halt in the visa application worldwide for about 14 to 15 days. Having a halt for 14 days before the fall semester is quite a mess. But the thing is, what they look for during a visa application is, or while granting you a visa, is whether you have funding or not. So usually the PhD students, they have their complete funding for the whole course. So it's not that much of a problem. I was even not asked one single question in my visa interview. And another thing that they look for is whether you are going to a good university or not. Suppose you are going to an university where you have better options in your country itself. So then they will question, like, you have better options in your country by going to that particular university outside. So, but if you are usually, what I have seen among my peers, they have gone to good universities, famous universities, and that particular question doesn't appear. And as I told, the funding, if you have your funding well, then there is nothing of a problem. The funding matters. If you have, like, it occurs for the master's students. Like during our time, there was a huge amount of visa rejections for the master students because they do not have their funding. So it is a self-funded. Usually they are partly self-funded or fully self-funded. So the visa officer need to be sure before granting you a visa that you will not have any financial problem while your stay in this country, because we are in an F1 visa. We cannot indulge in any other income other than our TS-ship and RS-ship. And if you have some internship, then it's different. But other than that, you cannot do any part-time job or things like that. It's in the clause for this F1 visa. So they want to make sure that you will not have any financing problem while you stay in USA. That's it.
हेलो, हाँ भास्कर जी बोलिए।
या सारे क्वेश्चन तो खत्म हो गए। अगर और किसी का क्वेश्चन है तो इफ एनीवन यू हैव क्वेश्चन यू कैन आस्क, यू कैन रेज योर हैंड एंड यू कैन आस्क।
अनूप कुमार,
we'll take one or two question more and then we will end it. So anyone have any question?
एक अनूप कुमार का क्वेश्चन है मैसेज में, आप देखिए ना।
एक सेकंड। ओह, इतना बड़ा लिख दिया। So the question of Anup is like, so first question, I think it has been answered, like how you secure the seat. The second question is, compared to Chinese student, how likely is it that the Indian student will be favored for admission?
I don't think there is any competition among like the Indians and the Chinese students, because in most of the departments, like statistics department around USA, there are some Indian professors, and they tend to take Indian students. So I don't think this is like Devargoda, if you have anything to say.
I think US university it's actually okay. So in the US universities, I think they maintain the diversity. So
Yeah.
so every year, so they take some people from China, they take some people from India, they take some people from Nigeria, Ghana, so the African region, and some people are from the Russia, some people are from the US also. So they have a good ratio of the diversity kind of thing. So it's actually not like that. Also from the Korea, I miss that thing. Also from the Korea. So yeah,
Aditya, your question. Yeah, Aditya, you can ask.
Yeah, I wanted to ask if you could compare with your peers and let us know if you would prefer, or rather, you would have rather pursued, uh, if you would have gone for pursuing research in US as opposed to India in hindsight, or have your peers have had a better or worse situation when it comes to research?
Can you be a bit more clear about your question?
In hindsight, I wanted to ask if, in hindsight, you would have preferred to have gone with the current path that you have taken with research in the US, as opposed to some of your peers who might have done research in India.
Mm.
can you write
So
your
can you
question?
repeat? Yeah, can you write your question?
All I'm asking is, what is more preferable for a student, continuing research in India or in US, if you can compare with your colleagues? And
Oh yeah. In India, yeah, I will not say that the research situation is not good. I am saying from the statistics perspective. But the thing is, in USA there is a lot more diverse. There are many topics that are yet to be researched about in India, which people are working in this country. So in India, if you go for research in statistics, you do not have a lot of options. Like there are not many universities from where you can have a PhD, and also you do not have a lot of options regarding the research domains where you can work in. But in USA, there are a lot of, there are a lot of scopes. There are a lot of universities, and the researchers in this country are quite diverse. So you can explore a lot.
I'll say about, so in the US you can get more SOTA kind of research, state of art. So they actually tend to do the fine cut research in the state of art problem. In India, people are actually doing theoretical research, but in a very old fashioned way. So not all. I am not telling that all people are doing that, but if you go to the journals where they are actually publishing their papers, so you can see the Indian peoples are working in a similar kind of project or kind of work for last 20 years or last 30 years. Not all, but many people are doing that thing, and they are publishing those papers in some journal, not a very top-notch journal. But in the US, they always tend to work in a fine-cut research, so that they get more funding, and they actually they actually do some state of art problem research on that way. And that is actually useful for the industry and other places actually. So but in India there is no need to do the SOTA research because people do not have think about funding and promotions, because it's have a normal promotion situation in the India. But in the US there is something called tenure track position. So and to get a permanent position you have to do some good research. And so that's why, and like for contributing to the country also, they always tend to do research in the new topics. So that's why the US is actually better than the India in kind of new kind of research. But it's not true that all people are doing the old fashioned research in India. There are very good people in the ISI, IIT Kanpur and other places, IIT Bombay also. So they actually doing very good research in the SOTA field. So yeah. And also another thing I want to mention, so the difference between the PhD situation in India and the US university, that is the financial condition for a student. So I think in a age of 24, 25, people want to be a financially independent. So in India, the funding situation is some kind of that. Here the stipend is around 35,000, which I don't think is a very good amount for a student. So who are in the age in the 24, 25, that in US you will get a good amount of money that is actually your salary. So because here they think about the employment, so they actually give you the employment and they will give you the salary, not like the fellowship type of thing in India. So in US there are kind of fellowship, but that is generally given in the summer by the professor or some kind of that. But generally it's all about the employment. So that's why that is more more good thing you can expect in the scenario for the financial condition, also in the research. So that is actually good in the US in comparing to the India.
So the last two questions we will take. So Raj,
Yes, my question is that a student who is pursuing bachelor's or master's in statistics, so what course he can do along with that? Like courses are CFA, FRM, actuaries, and data science, which may help him in future in like industrial perspective, in placement as well as in PhD.
I think these two are quite like, if you are speaking about placements after your masters, then this is quite different from a PhD application or things like that. So in like when you are going for PhDs, they often look for if you are good in the mathematical sides, or how good is your academic history and all these things. But in the industries, like when I went for my internships, I had a corporate internship, so they were much more like focused towards how skillful you are, like how smart you are. I am not meaning that to do a research you needn't be smart, but the selection procedures I think are significantly different between a job and a PhD.
thank you, Kaustav. And the last question from Shreyas Sinde. Shreyas.
Like I have to ask, like, what are the advantages and disadvantages if we are planning
Your voice is not audible.
Can you please
Hello, is
write
it
your
clear
question?
now?
Yeah.
So I want to ask that what are the advantages or disadvantages if you are planning to pursue the PhD after, doing job for some years after masters, and what will be the beneficial, like directly going for pursuing PhD after directly masters, or if we are planning to do some years for job and then pursuing for PhD. So what are the pros and cons about that?
Okay, so during my masters, I had a dilemma like this, whether I will go for a job and a few years of job, then come to PhD. But finally, I decided why lose a few years from my life. Like I have to go to PhD after all. I have to go to the field of research after all. So if you are determined that you will be going to research, I will suggest that don't lose some precious years of your life, because in this phase of life you are the most, I would say, productive. So if you are like determined, like after some years of job you will go to the research, I would say, like, if you have the scope, go for it now.
I'll say so sometimes people, so I have seen some people, they have some financial condition, so weak financial condition, so then they have problem to apply to the US. So if your question is like that, whether it's a problem to apply in a US universities after doing job for several years, so if it is like 2 or 3 years, I don't think that's a problem, because some of my friends actually applied to the PhD. So after 1 years, after 2 years, some of the seniors I know, they actually applied for the PhD for after 2 years from the ISI also, from the IIT Kanpur also. So they got a good PhD option in the US. And but I actually didn't see people who have done 5 years of the work in the industry, or more than 5 years work in the industry, and then switch for the PhD. I don't think that's also a very good option also. So if you have, if someone have a weak financial condition, then they go for the job and earn money, and then they can apply for the PhD. But so they should have a good determination in the mind, that and also the energy that they can do the PhD for the next 5 years. So because also some people have the question, I have seen that whether in the US there is very less time required, or less time in very less time people can complete the PhD. So that is not the thing you should think when you will apply for the PhD. So it's actually myth that in India people people take several years to complete the PhD, and in US they can complete in the 4 to 5 years. That's not the thing. So it's completely depend on how your research going on. So in the US also. But one thing is that in India you have to publish some paper in some journal, but in the US you can give the defense without publishing any paper, without publishing any single paper. But that actually that is actually not good for your postdoc application, or like the assistant professor application. That is actually good for the industry, that will work for the industry, but for the academia, that is that works not well. So that is the thing. So you can obviously apply in the PhD after doing some years in the work in the industry, but I don't think it's a good plan if you take a big break.
Okay, thank you.
तो मुझे लग रहा है कि सबके क्वेश्चंस का रिप्लाई मिल गया, तो टाइम भी काफी हो गया, और इन लोगों ने बहुत अच्छा खासा टाइम दिया आप लोगों को, हर एक क्वेश्चंस का रिप्लाई दिया और काफी अच्छे से गाइड किया। तो हो गया आज के लिए, और मुझे लगता है कि ये आपको काफी हेल्प करेगा। जरूरी नहीं है कि हर चीज जो चीज हम सुने उसको हम खुद ही करें, हमें एक रास्ता पता हो तो हम दूसरे को गाइड कर सकते हैं। ऐसे ही मैसेज एक दूसरे के साथ सर्कुलेट होता है, ये एक चेन बना है, और ये चेन बहुत दूर तक मैसेज को सर्कुलेट करेगा, बहुत दूर तक जाएगी इसकी आवाज, और एक ब्रिज बन जाएगा आपको एक अच्छा एजुकेशन लेने का, एक अच्छे जगह से मास्टर्स करने का, एक अच्छी जगह से PhD करने का, और रिसर्च करके अपना जो कंट्रीब्यूशन है देश में या सोसाइटी के लिए या देश के लिए, वो एक इम्पोर्टेंट रोल प्ले करेगा आने वाले समय में। तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद देवर्गिया जाना एंड कौस्तुभ एंड साथ में सबको, कि आपने पेशेंस के साथ एक एक चीजों को अच्छे से सुना और अपना टाइम दिया, और यह चीजें काफियों को हेल्प करेगा, आपको तो हेल्प करेगा ही। अब एक नहीं होता है कि फॉरेन जाना है मुझे तो मुझे करना है, तो कोई बतलाने वाला नहीं होता है, तो शायद वो एक आप पर्सन रहेंगे जो भी ये चीज सुन रहे हैं, दूसरे को गाइड करने के लिए। ये भी एक अच्छा अचीवमेंट होता है कि आपके पास किसी के सवाल का जवाब है। कोई आया मेरे पास तो मैं मना कर देता हूँ क्योंकि मुझे खुद पता नहीं, तो मैं देवरिया जाना से कांटेक्ट करता हूँ, देवसीता से कांटेक्ट करता हूँ, कौस्तुभ से करता हूँ। इवन जब मैं जैम 2023-4 बैच को पढ़ा रहा था उस समय मैं कौस्तुभ का काफी हेल्प लिया था। उससे मैं गाइड लिया था कि कैसे क्या करना चाहिए स्टैटिस्टिक्स में कि बच्चे और बेहतर करे। देवरिया जाना से भी मैं काफी हेल्प लिया। इवन इसने पढ़ाया भी, देवरिया जाना ने क्लास में बच्चों को गाइड किया, और ISI में उस समय बहुत बेहतर रिजल्ट रहा इस बार का। पिछले बार देवरिया जाना गाइड किया था तो 12 से ज्यादा स्टूडेंट्स को ISI मिला था, ठीक है। IIT जैम तो हुआ ही था, ISI में भी गए थे, काफी ज्यादा उसका इम्पैक्ट रहा। फिर उसी का रिकॉर्डेड वीडियो भी बच्चे देखे देवरिया जाना का। तो अभी भी आपका वीडियो सब फॉलो करता है देवरिया, ठीक है। तो काफी को हेल्प मिलती है। तो हाँ, तो वो काफी हेल्प करता है, और इस बार 17 स्टूडेंट्स ISI में गए। तो ये चीजें अच्छा लगता है कि चलो हमारे स्टूडेंट्स बहुत बेहतर कर रहे हैं। बहुत इस बार अच्छा प्लेसमेंट हुआ, बहुतों का बहुत अच्छा प्लेसमेंट हुआ। कुछ रिसर्च में जा रहे हैं, कुछ प्लेसमेंट्स कॉर्पोरेट में जा रहे हैं। अब कुछ बच्चे स्टार्टअप के भी बारे में सोच रहे हैं। उनमें कुछ से बात भी किया कि आप लोग कुछ स्टार्टअप करो, कुछ नया चीज सोचो जिससे कि हजारों लाखों लोगों को रोजगार मिले। इवन जो स्टूडेंट्स इस बार ISI में अच्छा पैकेज के साथ प्लेस्ड हुए हैं या जो पिछले साल हुए, उनसे मैं रेगुलर कांटेक्ट में हूँ और उनको पुश कर रहा हूँ कि आप कुछ नया सोचो, आप कुछ नया सोचो। तो भी ऐसी बात है कि मैं 150 को पुश करूंगा, उसमें से 2-3 भी के माइंड में कोई बात क्लिक कर जाती है कि नहीं मुझे ये करना चाहिए, मैं इसमें अपना स्टार्टअप स्टार्ट कर सकता हूँ, तो शायद उससे हजारों लाखों को जॉब मिल सकती है और एक इंडिया में जॉब क्रिएट हो सकता है, ठीक है। और उससे काफी लोगों को हेल्प मिलेगा। इवन कुछ स्टूडेंट्स मेरे 2021 बैच के कि 2022 बैच के कुछ स्टार्टअप स्टार्ट किया है AI टूल्स का यूज करके। उन्होंने प्रेजेंटेशन दिया था मुझे कि ये कैसा है, तो मैंने पूरा कंप्लीट करने के बाद वो काफी इम्पैक्ट मीन्स काफी बहुत बेहतर उनका प्रोजेक्ट है, और शायद ये इसी ईयर वो लॉन्च भी करेंगे। तो वो बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट करेगा आने वाले टाइम में, बहुत अच्छा इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट करेगा क्योंकि वो AI टूल्स का यूज किए है। और जो भी AI टूल्स को यूज करते हुए एक स्टार्टअप स्टार्ट करेगा तो मुझे लग रहा है कि उसको सक्सेस ज्यादा मिलेगा। जैसे कि जिन्होंने 2016, 17, 18 में यूट्यूब पर पढ़ाना स्टार्ट किया, कोविड काल में उनको एक्सपोजर मिल गया, वो बूम सा कर गए। वैसे ही आने वाले समय डेटा साइंस का है, AI का है, ChatGPT का है। तो जो अभी कुछ AI टूल्स का यूज करके कुछ नया चीज सोचने की कोशिश करेगा इंडस्ट्री फील्ड में, जिससे कि लोगों को मीन्स लोगों के लाइफ को इजी बनाया जा सके। बहुत सारी चीजें जैसे अमेजोन ने सोचा, स्विगी ने सोचा, ओला ने सोचा, ओयो ने सोचा, ठीक है, और भी बहुत सारी चीजें हैं। तो उन्होंने क्या किया, लोगों के लाइफ को आसान बना दिया। तो ऐसे ही और भी बहुत सारी नई चीजें हैं जो AI टूल्स का यूज किया जा सकता है उसमें, और लोगों के लाइफ को और बेहतर बनाया जा सकता है। तो आज के लिए इतना ही, और अगेन बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद कि आप लोगों ने अपना टाइम दिया, और थैंक्स अ लॉट। और मीन्स मेरे पास शब्द नहीं है कि इन्होंने अपना टाइम दिया और आप लोगों को गाइड किया। धन्यवाद, ठीक है, ओके।
सर आई हैव अ क्वेश्चन, मैं एक बार पूछ सकता हूँ क्या?
हाँ हाँ बिल्कुल।
कौस्तुभ, तो ये मेरा दोस्त है BSc का। तो बेसिकली मुझे ये पूछना था कि करंटली आई एम डूइंग जॉब, तो काइंड ऑफ रोबोटिक्स का लाइफ हो गया है मेरा। तो मैं सोच रहा था कि PhD के लिए मूव ऑन करूँ कि नहीं। तो मुझे ये पूछना था कि कितना वायबल ऑप्शन है, कि मतलब जॉब में भी ठीक ठाक ही मिल रहा है, तो उससे अब अगर PhD करना है तो कितना कॉम्प्लिकेशंस आ सकता है लाइफ में, या वही पूछने भी।
देखो यदि आपका पर्पस ये है कि मेरा लाइफ स्टेबल रहे या रोबोटिक हो गया है फिर आप PhD करना चाहते हो, तो शायद आप गलत डायरेक्शन में जा रहे हो, ठीक है। एक होता है कि मुझे ये काम करना है चाहे उसमें कितनी भी परेशानियां क्यों ना, ठीक है ना। एक नहीं होता है कि मुझे ये चीज अचीव करना है चाहे जो हो जाए मैं करूंगा, मुझे ये मैंने मेरे लिए यह मायने नहीं रखता है कि ये मेरे लिए कितना डिफिकल्ट होगा, ये मायने नहीं रखता है कि इसमें मैं बर्बाद हो जाऊंगा, ठीक है, कोई बात नहीं, मैं वहां से फिर से जीरो से स्टार्ट करूंगा। तो इस पर्पस से यदि आप निकलते हो तो शायद मुझे लग रहा है कि आपको सफलता जल्दी मिलेगी, ठीक है ना, और आप एक सही डिसीजन ले पाइएगा कि नहीं मुझे ये करना है। जैसे कि मुझे जॉब नहीं करना था, मुझे सोशल वर्क करना था, मुझे स्टूडेंट्स को आईआईटी में पहुंचाना था, और हायर स्टडी में कितने ही बच्चे हैं, बहुत कम बच्चे हैं ना, फिर भी मैंने रिस्क लिया। क्यों? क्योंकि मुझे इस काम में खुशी मिलती थी। मैं जब मैं क्लास शाम में लेकर के आता था तो एक सुकून भरा नींद आता था, एक अंदर से एक सेटिस्फैक्शन सा आता था कि नहीं जो मैं सोचा था स्टार्टिंग में 9th क्लास में, 10th क्लास में, 11th 12th क्लास में, ग्रेजुएशन करते समय, वो मैं काम कर रहा हूँ। बस मुझे पैसे का वो लालच नहीं था कि मुझे पैसा आएगा तो ही मैं काम करूंगा, या ये काम डिफिकल्ट होगा तो मैं नहीं करूंगा, ऐसा मेरे साथ कुछ था ही नहीं। बस मुझे यह काम करना है क्योंकि ये काम कोई नहीं कर रहा है। बिहार से मैं मेनली बिहार में ये बात कई बार बोला हूँ, देवरिया जाना भी उस समय था, कौस्तुभ ने भी ये बात शायद सुनी होगी कि मैं मेनली कोचिंग बिहार के लिए स्टार्ट किया था, क्योंकि उस समय ऑफलाइन था ना, ऑनलाइन तो था नहीं कोविड के पहले। क्योंकि बिहार से एक भी लड़का एमएससी करने के लिए स्टैटिस्टिक्स फील्ड में या मैथमेटिक्स फील्ड में आईआईटी पहुंचता ही नहीं था, खास करके स्टैटिस्टिक्स में। तो इस बात का मुझे बड़ी पेन था कि आखिर क्यों नहीं हो रहा है। मेरा जेई में अच्छा खासा जॉब लगा था, अभी मैं जेई में रहता ना तो मेरा पैकेज मुझे लग रहा है कि आराम से 5-6-10 लाख पर मंथ में कमाता। जेई में इतने पैकेजेस है, इतने मेहनत पर, मैंने लॉन्ग टाइम के लिए नहीं, लेकिन हाँ वो ऐसा फेज आता कि 4 से 5 साल के लिए मैं 10 से 12 लाख रुपये पर मंथ कमाता। फिर भी मैंने जेई के जॉब को छोड़ा और मैं जैम की कोचिंग स्टार्ट किया मात्र 1200 रुपये में। मात्र 1200 रुपये में जैम की मैं खुद बच्चों को जा करके बतलाया, कॉलेज में रोड पर जाकर के मैं खुद पर्ची बांटा हूँ बच्चों को कि तुम जैम के बारे में जानो, भले तैयारी मत करो। मैं ये नहीं कहता कि वो तैयारी करो, क्योंकि मैं उनसे मैं उम्मीद भी नहीं रखता था ना, क्योंकि वो एसएससी की तैयारी कर रहे हैं, उनको जैम का पता ही नहीं है, तो वो कभी मैथमेटिक्स या स्टैटिस्टिक्स पढ़े ही नहीं, तो वो अपना जो भी उधर के टीचर से जो भी वो गाइड करते उसमें वो लग गए। लेकिन मैं चाहता था कि एटलीस्ट ये जूनियर को बतलाए, फिर वो उसको बतलाए, तो कहीं से तो वो चेन स्टार्ट होगा। आज वो चेन स्टार्ट हुआ, हर एक बच्चे 1 या 2 या 3 या 4 बच्चे या तो आईआईटी जा रहे, एनआईटी भी जा रहे, डीयू भी जा रहे, बीएचयू भी जा रहे, पांडुचेरी भी जा रहे, आईआईपीएस कॉलेज में भी जा रहे, जो मुंबई का एनएमसीएस कॉलेज उसमें भी जा रहे, कुछ नाम है याद नहीं आ रहा, फिर ट्रिपल आईटी में भी जा रहे। तो कहीं से तो ये चीजों को मैं शुरुआत कर पाया। आज पूरे इंडिया के बच्चों को मैं गाइड कर रहा हूँ। ऐसे रेयर जगह से बच्चे आते हैं कि मीन्स वो मैंने निकालते हैं तो मैंने वो इतना वो थैंकफुल होते हैं कि कहो मत। जैसे एक वो दीपशिखा नाम की लड़की है, बंगाल की है, वो एकदम रूरल एरिया से है, एकदम कोई प्रॉपर गाइडेंस नहीं था, कोई भी प्रॉपर गाइडेंस नहीं था, और वो वहां से पढ़ के निकलती है, बॉम्बे पहुंचती है, और वो भी कब पर तैयारी करना स्टार्ट करती है, मास्टर्स के 5 साल के बाद। उसका मास्टर्स कंप्लीट है, मेरी बैचमेट है, ठीक है। मास्टर जब मेरा कंप्लीट है ना, उस समय भी उसका मास्टर बीएससी कंप्लीट है, शायद 2016 में उसका भी बीएससी है। और वो लड़की के अंदर जुनून आता है कि नहीं मुझे कुछ बेहतर करना है और मुझे इसी फील्ड में बेहतर करना है, तो वो करती है। यानी कहने का मतलब कि वो आपको डिसाइड करना है कि आपको किस काम में खुशी मिलती है और आप उस काम को किस हद तक जा करके कर सकते हो। नहीं होता है कि जब हम गिरने लगते हैं ना तो उस काम को छोड़ने के लिए मन में आता है कि नहीं छोड़ो छोड़ो छोड़ो, कुछ और मीन्स काम को सिलेक्ट करो। तो ऐसे लोग बहुत कम सक्सेस होते हैं जो उस काम में पूरा अपना समर्पित कर देते हैं, उस काम के लिए पूरी डेडिकेशन के साथ लग जाते हैं, ये सोचकर कि जो होगा अब लास्ट तक देखा जाएगा। मैं देख सकता हूं, मैं देखना चाहता हूं कि इस फील्ड में मैं कितना गिर सकता हूं। जैसे कोई पीएचडी करता है तो किसी का 4 साल भी लगता है, किसी का 5 साल भी लगता है, तो देखो ना कि मैं कितना इसमें डूब सकता हूं, कितना गिर सकता हूं। गिरोगे तो ही तो उठोगे, जब तक गिरोगे नहीं आप उठोगे कैसे। तो देखो आज इतने सारे बच्चे आईआईटी जा रहे हैं, टॉप 10 में आपको भी पता देवरिया जाना है, कौस्तुभ है, और भी बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स है। मुझे नहीं लगता कि किसी भी फील्ड की कोचिंग हो, चाहे वो एसएससी हो, यूपीएससी हो, जेई हो, इतना रिजल्ट एक जगह से आता। तो ये कहीं ना कहीं ये मेरे जुनून और डेडिकेशन की बदौलत है, बच्चों के मेहनत की बदौलत है। उनको मैं गाइड करता हूँ। सिर्फ पढ़ाना एक वो नहीं है कि आप पढ़ा दोगे एग्जाम निकल जाएगा। पढ़ाने के लिए बहुत अच्छे अच्छे लोग पढ़ाने वाले, एनपीटीएल पे एक से एक प्रोफेसर पढ़ाने वाले, एक से एक यूट्यूब पर लोग गाइड करने वाले, लेकिन क्या उससे वो चीजें हो जा रही है? बच्चों को एक सही डायरेक्शन मिल पा रहा है? नहीं मिल पा रहा है। तो मैं उस सही डायरेक्शन बतलाने के लिए आया था, क्योंकि मुझे विश्वास था कि मैं जिस बच्चों को गाइड करूंगा, भले मैं उसके क्वेश्चन सॉल्व ना कर पाऊं, लेकिन फिर भी उसका मैं एग्जाम निकलवा दूंगा। मैं उसको ऐसे गाइड कर दूंगा कि वो अपने क्वेश्चन को खुद ही सॉल्व कर पाए। क्या जरूरत है मेरी भाई? मैं कब कब आपके के साथ रहूंगा? क्या एग्जाम में आपके साथ रहूंगा? तो आप यह देखो कि आपको किस काम में खुशी मिलती है और जिसमें आपको सेटिस्फैक्शन मिलता है। अब आप यह देखो कि उसमें आप कितना बर्बाद हो सकते हो। तो जब आप इतना रिस्क लीजिएगा ना, तब जाकर के आप बेहतर कीजिएगा, चाहे अमेजोन हो या फ्लिपकार्ट हो या ओला हो या कोई भी स्टार्टअप हो। ऐसे ही वो लोग ऊपर बढ़े। ये नहीं कि उनको बेहतर चीजें दिखेगी, हमें सब कुछ बेहतर मिलेगा तब मैं कुछ बेहतर करूंगा। नहीं, ऐसी चीजें बेहतर नहीं होती है। इंडियन यूथ में यही सबसे बड़ा मुझे डिमेरिट लगता है। उनको चाहिए सब कुछ बेहतर, तब जाकर के उसमें बेहतर करना चाहते हैं। आप ये क्यों नहीं सोचो कि ये चीजें बेहतर नहीं है, मैं उसको बेहतर बनाऊं। जो बेहतर है उसको आप बेहतर कैसे बनाओगे? आप उस चीज को बेहतर बनाओ ना जो बेहतर नहीं है। रिसर्च इसी का पार्ट है। रिसर्च में हमेशा नई चीजों को खोजा जाता है। आज उसी रिसर्च की बदौलत है कि आज टेक्नोलॉजी इतनी आगे जा पाई है। उसी रिसर्च की बदौलत है कि मैं यूएसए से, हम लोग यूएसए से इन लोगों को सुन रहे, ये लोग यूएसए में बैठे, हम लोग इनको सुन रहे। यदि ये रिसर्च नहीं होता है, नई चीजें नहीं आती, तो हम इनसे कैसे कनेक्ट कर पाते? तो कहीं ना कहीं आपका भी कंट्रीब्यूशन होगा यदि आप रिसर्च के फील्ड में जाते हो, इनका भी कंट्रीब्यूशन होगा क्योंकि ये लोग रिसर्च कर रहे हैं। तो आप अपना कंट्रीब्यूशन देने के लिए सोचो, पैसे के पीछे मत भागो, काम के पीछे भागो। देखो कि आपको किस काम में मन लगता है, भले वहां से 100 रुपया ही आए, ठीक है, बस आप खुश तो हो ना। तो आई थिंक कि आपका पर्पस क्लियर हो गया होगा कि हाँ मुझे क्या करना है। चलो बहुत हो गया, इन लोगों को भी हम फ्री छोड़ते हैं क्योंकि इनको भी अपना काम होगा। थैंक यू देवहरगया जाना एंड थैंक यू कौस्तुभ। और वहां तो शायद सुबह हो गया, रात हो गया है, तो गुड नाइट और बाकी लोगों को, और उनको गुड डे। और बेहतर करो, काफी बेहतर करो और करोगे भी, ठीक है। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है आप लोग करोगे भी, ठीक है ना। चलो ओके।